Good afternoon and welcome to your Community Connection Corner here on your Catholic station, Real Life Radio 1380 and 94.9 FM. I'm Jennifer Longworth, joined this afternoon by Ashley Gann of Sweet Blessings. Welcome to the program, Ashley.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Ashley is a regular on Diocese Live now, but for our weekend listeners, tell us about Sweet Blessings.
Sure. Sweet Blessings is a nonprofit ministry, and what we do is we make unforgettable birthday cakes for children who are living in poverty or with a life-threatening illness, all to help them feel special and loved on their special day.
Unforgettable birthday cake. So you're not just doing what I try to do and hope that the icing stays on without melting off.
No, I tell people that they're more Cake Boss than Kroger.
Okay.
So, multiple tiers covered in fondant. Sometimes they're three-dimensional. Last week we had the Titanic sinking.
Oh.
So, yes. And
oh, dear.
It was our second Titanic cake. Who knew that some child would want a Titanic cake? But there you go. So they're definitely not something you would see in your regular grocery store or big box store, that kind of thing.
And they're personalized towards the interest of that child.
Absolutely. We find out as much as we can about the child and then design the cake specifically for them. Again, who would have made a Titanic cake for a kid unless they knew that child? But I do tell people there is one cake we absolutely will not make, and that is a Duke Blue Devils cake.
Oh, come on.
No.
But you'll do Louisville Cardinals.
Yes, we will do the Louisville Cardinals, but...
No Duke.
No Duke. Won't do it.
That's too bad. So where'd the vision of Sweet Blessings come from?
Well, Sweet Blessings really was a long process. For me, I actually have a totally different background. I have a master's degree in public health. And was in the process of applying to go back to school and get a doctorate degree.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, why I wanted to do that, I have no idea. It was just, how it goes. It was the next step in the trajectory of your career. Mm-hmm. It was either that or die a slow, painful death in middle management, which I didn't want to do. So I was in that process, was all stressed out. What am I going to do? I was living in South Carolina at the time, but I'm from Kentucky. I'm from Frankfort. And was just really stressed about the whole thing. And on the Today Show one morning, they did a segment on vocation vacations. So basically, you take a week off work, go do something you've always wanted to do. If you've always, thought, oh, wow, building something, working in construction would be fun, go take a week off and volunteer for Habitat. Or,
right.
Do something you've always wanted to do. And I was like, no, man, public health, that is it. That's all I want to do. And then it hit me. It's like, I'll make cakes. And it really was like God threw a brick from heaven and hit me in the head.
Wow.
And so from there, it became probably a 4 or 5 year process of lots of prayer and moving and all sorts of different kind of stuff to try to figure out what that was.
It's like, okay, I'm supposed to make cakes. And what am I going to do with that?
Yeah, my family moved back to Kentucky, of course. I went to culinary school for a while. I'm a culinary school dropout. I am. Yeah, I know my mother hates it when I tell people that. But
she's so proud.
I know. But I got a public health job, and so I left culinary school and went back to the public health field and didn't make cakes for over a year. Mm-hmm. My daughter had a birthday. People started saying, hey, will you make me a cake? And so I was like, okay, God, these cakes really are here for a reason. You keep bringing this back into my life. Mm-hmm. And so finally decided, we've got to figure this out. We've been praying about it for a while. We prayed about, do we buy a bakery, whatever. So then I left my public health job and went to work in a cake shop here locally over wedding season.
Nice.
Yeah, when you have 2 little kids, that
nice.
Preschool, kindergarten, kind of age. But, we promised the owners I would stay there for 6 months throughout wedding season. And we really promised ourselves, like, okay, we've been praying about this, but we really, like never before, going to pray about this. And that is when I really felt God telling me to spend more time making a difference and less time making a living. Which is, again, kind of one of those things like, great. It's a little bit of a process there, but eventually we were in church one Sunday morning, and the pastor was preaching about inner city outreach in downtown Lexington. And that was when it all came together for me, that God's plan was for me to use cake to reach out to children.
Wow. So just over the course of many years, just all coming together, and then light bulb.
And then that was it. Right, exactly. And what they say, hindsight is 20/20. And so I can see a lot of how, even my public health career, a lot of that was preparing me for this. When I worked in public health, I worked with community groups, leveraging resources, pulling different people together, all of these different skills and different experiences that I use now.
So when you said, okay, I'm going to use cakes to help kids in downtown Lexington in their city, then what? I mean, that's still kind of like, well, okay, how am I, what's happening here?
You call a few people, and luckily I had worked for nonprofits, and so I knew, okay, if I'm going to do this, I looked into applying for 501c3 status, and it was kind of one of those things. It's just each morning I got up and just took the next step. It was never this big decision. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is what it's going to look like. This is how it's going to feel.
Right.
You just didn't really know. I didn't know if maybe I was going to make a cake every once in a while for my church, as part of their outreach, but that certainly was not it. So just kind of took each step, went and talked to a few people. Here's my idea. What do you think? How would it work? What would it look like? And again, use some of my experience before to help shape our model and how we work.
And now it's not just you.
It is not just me. There are, we have so many fabulous volunteers. We worked in the kitchen yesterday, and there are people everywhere.
That's awesome.
And so we actually, not only were we able to minister to the children by providing this cake for them, I also hear lots of stories about, families that it made a big difference to the family because, they want to do something for a child, but they don't have that ability. But also, all of our volunteers come together in one place at the same time to create these cakes. And so we also have this additional ministry and fellowship with all our volunteers.
That's awesome. So how do you get connected with these kids in need? How do you find them?
We actually work on a referral basis.
Okay.
So any kind of church, school, social service provider, what they do is they make a referral to us. They tell us about the child. It's a real easy process. And what we ask them pretty much is tell us about the child. Likes, dislikes, favorites, cartoons, what do they want to be when they grow up, all these different things about them. And see, we don't ever meet the child. So we just kind of get this piece of paper that tells us a little bit about them. But, when they tell us about them, we're able to kind of pull out different things and design a cake for them that way. And then an additional kind of fun part is we don't meet the kids. We give it back to that, either, clergy or social service worker, and they then give it to the child and the family. And so now you have this additional layer of some sort of a caring adult in the community also reaching out to this child and family, and it's somebody they already know.
Yeah. It's kind of, you guys are secret angels behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's kind of fun that way.
So, okay, so I have if you ever seen my cakes that I've made, you probably wouldn't want to be giving them to anyone. Just saying, my mom says if you can't be good, be funny. So my cakes fall into more of the funny category. But you say you don't really need any experience helping with your cakes. That's what you say.
That's what I say, and it is true. It is really true. Well, like I said, we have a lot of volunteers. And so if you come and volunteer with us, it's your first time, you've never made a cake before, and in all honesty, most of our even long-term volunteers, when they came to us, had not really decorated. Or maybe they had made a cake at home, but have never used fondant before.
No, I've never. Maybe that would answer all of my problems.
Love it. It's like edible sugar Play-Doh. So much fun.
Edible sugar Play-Doh. Wait a minute. I need to get in on this.
Really, you get to come and play. It's like free art therapy. And then you get to give a cake to a child and make them happy. It's really wonderful. But yeah, people can come, and in Lexington, we actually partner with Maxwell Street Presbyterian Church and use their facilities on Tuesdays. And you can just come on in, and whatever's going on at the moment, you get to just jump right on in, and we have other volunteers that'll show you what to do and just give you a few tricks of the trade and hold your hand the whole way.
So who kind of designs the cakes? You say, okay, well, they like basketball. Obviously, we're going to do a big orange ball, but that one's kind of simple. But then you think, they like this hobby or that hobby. Is it like a group effort of going, well, what should we put on this cake? Or does one person kind of take this case, or how do you work that?
When volunteers come in the morning, there is a general design for each cake already on there.
Okay.
However, if somebody's been volunteering for quite a while, I'll tell them, you can totally change it. They know what they're doing. I trust them. They can go. And a lot of times when we do that, they come up with something much better than I would have ever come up with,
So do you come up with the initial design idea?
I come up with the initial design.
Okay.
Based on what the child likes and how many people it needs to serve. And then, when somebody comes in, if they want to do something totally different, or maybe they've seen something on YouTube, or they have a special idea, or they sit there, they start Googling cakes about this specific topic, they want to do something else. As long as, I have seen their work before and, know that this is something they can take on, just let them run with it.
That's fun.
And for people who, are not really sure, we will, do something different. They can, sit with a volunteer and work with them on a cake, or I'll work with them and teach them maybe some simpler designs. And if they keep coming back, we can do something more and more intricate, and they can learn a lot of new skills and try out new tools and all that fun stuff.
So how did you learn to do the cake decorating thing?
Lots of mistakes. I took a few classes, and I know
Culinary school dropout. But.
Yeah, culinary school dropout. I know I've told you the story before, but I took a few classes. I took like a community ed class, and then I took a few classes from Colette Peters, who is a world-renowned cake artist, well published. She was one of the first people that started doing the challenges on the Food Network, and then she became a judge. Well, and so there I am in her class, and she has like people from the CIA, not the Central Intelligence Agency, but the Culinary Institute of America, the big CIA in San Francisco, and they're all in this same class. I had never touched fondant before, ever. So there I am with this fondant, and I'm trying to roll it out, and I'm like shaking, and I'm like, excuse me, I don't know what I'm doing. I've never done this, and I'm like, oh my gosh. She has got to think I'm the biggest idiot ever. But, you just learn and you pick things up. And I learn stuff from our volunteers every week.
So it's just all kind of happened.
It all just kind of
This is one of those God stories.
It really is. It really, really is. And, he has just been so amazing through the process.
Well, when we come back from the break, we'll talk more about Sweet Blessings with Ashley Gann and how people can get involved. But before we break, what's your website?
www.sweetblessingscakes.org.
Fantastic. This is Jennifer on your Community Connection Corner here on your Catholic station, Real Life Radio 1380 and 94.9 FM, WMJR, Nicholasville, Lexington.